Aloha and good afternoon. Thank you for watching This Is Now. We begin with some breaking news. Evacuation orders are in place on the island of Molokai due to a fast-growing brush fire. What we know so far, according to the Maui County Fire Department, they say this fire was reported around 10:30 a.m. This is located near the mile marker 7 on Mauna Loa Highway on Molokai. This is near the Molokai Airport, and it was reported around 10:30 a.m. Homes in the area of near the airport along with Naiva Street are being evacuated and multiple units are responding. Once again, we just got this video in from our viewers there on the island of Molokai. As you can see, the winds are also impacting this fire. Multiple units have been called to respond, and we are working to gather more details specifically about the number of homes that were evacuated. At this point, it's unclear how many people were told to get out of the area, and it's also unclear the size of this fire. So we will keep a very close eye on this and bring you the latest details as they become available. We also want to turn now to our other top story, where a 70-year-old woman has died after being struck by a vehicle in the Pupukea area earlier this morning. Now, according to Honolulu police, the driver in this case was a juvenile male. The crash happened just before 7 a.m. on Kamehameha Highway. Police said the driver was heading westbound when he lost control of his vehicle and crashed into two pedestrians, including the 70-year-old woman and a 68-year-old woman who were walking along the roadway. First responders found the woman unresponsive, and efforts to revive her were unsuccessful. She was pronounced dead at the scene. The 68-year-old woman suffered minor injuries and refused treatment. The driver was not injured, and this does not appear that speed, drugs, or alcohol were factors in the crash. The investigation is ongoing. Hawaii County Police recovered the body of a 35-year-old Hilo man from under an 80-foot waterfall in Ninole. Witnesses say they saw the man on the edge of the waterfall on Saturday, and he was intoxicated and ignored calls to get down. Over on Maui, a jury has convicted a man of beating a baby boy to near death in 2021. Christian Rosette was found guilty of 5 charges, including assault and felony abuse of a household member, but he was not convicted of attempted murder. He's accused of repeatedly beating the 11-month-old son of his then-girlfriend, Passion Quirk. She was also originally charged with attempted murder for not stopping the abuse and not reporting him, but she cut a deal with prosecutors to lesser charges in exchange for her testimony. The jury will return to court on Wednesday to consider enhanced sentencing for Rosette. Workers at a Waikiki hotel are once again on the picket line striking. Our Casey Lund takes us to Hilton Hawaiian Village, where 1,800 workers are calling for better working conditions.
Aloha from the entrance to Hilton Hawaiian Village. That strike started at 5 o'clock this morning. You can see the crowd behind me here on Ina Road. I'm here with Jared Vincent. Jared, tell me your role at Hilton Hawaiian Village and how long you've worked there.
I'm a bellman. I've been here 9 years. Enjoyed most of it in the beginning of when I first got hired, and now we're fighting to get that aloha back by our employers.
Can you tell us a little bit about how things have evolved and changed in those 9 years? We had the pandemic. I know that there were cuts. Tell us a little bit about how the dynamic at the hotel has changed.
Well, the biggest dynamic right now is that our staffing and our services have gotten butchered. They've gotten cut. And it's very difficult for us as employees to provide the service that the hotel's guests pay for when we're just getting stuff. I'm a bellman. I have 2 kids at home. I only get 2 days a week of staffing. I've been here 9 years. I have to bump into other departments, taking jobs away from my coworkers and my friends, just because the hotel and corporations want to take, and not give back to us. So we're fighting to get that back.
And when those services, the guest services, are impacted, that impacts you, what you make as tips and your general interaction with guests, right?
Yeah, yes, everything. The cuts that they make, it impacts the guests, the workers, the overall experience, the industry, we're seeing more and more. I do a check-in, the guests seem happy. When they check out, they're saying they're never coming back because of all the cuts and all the staffing, having to wait an hour for their bags, having to wait an hour for the restaurants. And it's not sustainable. And we're fighting to get our industry back. We're fighting to get aloha back into the hotels instead of them taking advantage of our aloha until we are sick and tired, until we got to do this.
Can you tell us a little bit about where things are with negotiations? From what I hear, there isn't another scheduled negotiation right now.
No, there is no scheduled negotiations. That's why we're out here fighting to get them back to the table. We left the table negotiating, wanting to move. We moved last, and they said no. They stopped. They stopped their movement. So now we're just waiting for them to come back with something that is reasonable, that we all can thrive in this beautiful state, in my Aina, my home, the place where I raise my kids.
Do you know what the plan is for tomorrow? Are you folks just doing a one-day strike, or right now it's open-ended?
Right now it's open-ended because we want to negotiate. We want them to come to the table. We want them to fix the systemic issues that have been happening to us. They've heard our stories. They didn't listen. So now we're on the streets to tell everybody our stories. You know, I don't know what I'm going to do if we don't get this contract. I don't know if I'm going to be able to live in the place that I called home my whole life. And this is important to us, and it doesn't seem like our employers seem to care. So we're trying to make them care by fighting. We're workers. We're rooted in this land, and we need to do this to stay here.
Jared Vincent, I appreciate you speaking with me. Unite Here Local 5 member Bellman here at Hilton Hawaiian Village. He's one of 1,800 guest services, front desk, food service folks that are just here at this Hilton Hawaiian Village. Other Hilton properties in San Diego, San Francisco, there are thousands of workers on strike there today as well. Again, you heard there is no scheduled negotiation talk. We have reached out to Hilton Hawaiian Village management to get their statement on all this, to see how things are being impacted at the hotel. Reporting in Waikiki, I'm Casey Lunn. We'll send things back into the studio for now.
And the labor strife also continues at Kapi'olani Medical Center. We're following the latest on the negotiations with the nurses there. The nurse lockout at the hospital is on its 11th day, and there's still no agreement on an employment contract. Both sides were set to meet again today, and it comes after 10 community members, including State House Representative-elect Kim Koko Iwamoto, were arrested for their demonstration in front of the hospital.
We've all nurtured this relationship with this institution, and to see the nurses being locked out like this has been so hurtful. I participated, sat on the sidewalk to, in fact, block the scab buses because we had nurses standing right next to us who are ready to go in and work.
Kapi'olani COO says the hospital did not ask for any arrests. During yesterday's demonstrations, several patients could not get through the blocked driveway, and a bus with temporary nurses tried for 2 hours to get in. Again, the Hawaii Nurses Association and Kapi'olani have agreed to meet again today. The conflicts in the Middle East are overhanging this week's gathering of the United Nations General Assembly. For President Biden, it's an opportunity to call for greater global diplomacy and to say farewell to the world stage. Michael George reports from New York.
President Biden took the stage before world leaders at the General Assembly.
Now, I know I look like I'm only 40. I know that.
At the age of 81, it was his last time at this podium as America's commander-in-chief. He spoke about the accomplishments of his administration and about his decision to withdraw from the presidential race.
My fellow leaders, let us never forget, some things are more important than staying in power. It's your people.
He also reaffirmed his support for Ukraine and expressed hope that diplomacy can prevent a larger war from consuming the Middle East.
Full-scale war is not in anyone's interest. Even if the situation has escalated, a diplomatic solution is still possible. In fact, it remains the only path to lasting security.
Some of that diplomacy is happening along the sidelines, including remarks from Israel's ambassador to the UN. The Israeli envoy said his country would prefer a diplomatic solution to de-escalate the conflict with Hezbollah militants in Lebanon.
If they will not fire rockets into Israel, and we will be able to bring back our residents back to their communities, that's it. You have no escalation.
Both the Israeli and Palestinian leaders will address the General Assembly later this week, as well as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, scheduled to speak on Wednesday. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Meanwhile, the two presidential candidates each focused on the issues that they feel are the strongest as they continue their campaigns. Skylar Henry has more from the White House.
Former President Donald Trump took the stage in Savannah, Georgia for a speech focused on his tax policy.
We're cutting the business tax from 21% to 15%, which makes us the most competitive tax anywhere on the planet, but only for those who make their product in the USA.
Trump claims his protectionist policies, putting tariffs on goods coming into the U.S., will help, not hurt the economy.
We will take in hundreds of billions of dollars into our treasury and use that money to benefit the American citizens, and it will not cause inflation, by the way.
The Harris campaign released a statement from more than 400 economists contending Trump's tariffs and plans for mass deportations would cause prices to spike. Vice President Harris is off the campaign trail while President Biden is at the UN General Assembly, though she used a radio interview to sharpen her differences between her and Trump over the key issue of abortion. Harris told Wisconsin Public Radio she wants to eliminate the Senate filibuster to bring back abortion rights that existed under Roe v. Wade.
51 votes would be what we need to actually put back in law the protections for reproductive freedom and for the ability of every person and every woman to make decisions about their own body and not have their government tell them what to do.
That would also require Democrats hanging on to a Senate majority in the upcoming election. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
Back here on Oahu, police returned to a Waianae Valley neighborhood where families were exposed to gunfire just weeks ago, but they weren't there to solve crimes. Our Eddie Dowd says officers are trying to change perceptions one scoop at a time.
Although police served ice cream to kids at this event, organizers say it was about much more than that. It was about fostering relationships between the next generation and law enforcement.
I gotta remember, I'm one of the greatest.
They don't train for this at the police academy.
Never. Yeah. It's a good surprise though. Yeah.
But after children in this neighborhood witnessed a shooting last month,
they were asked what they wanted most, and they said that they wanted ice cream.
As an adult, we think that they're going to want to, be peaceful and be able to play out in the park. And they surprised us again with, we just want chocolate ice cream.
Organizers say it's about changing the community's narrative around HPD.
We always thought the Honolulu police was the bad guy, right? And so we never did have this. Just having them passing out ice cream for something small that is, we built that relationship with them where they want to work together.
My first thought when I saw the police was that someone was in trouble or something happened. But then I saw them wearing gloves and I was like, oh, they're serving food.
Honolulu prosecutor Steve Alm came out to see it for himself.
I thought it's great. It's out-of-the-box thinking. The Waianae community has been hurting from some recent events. So it's so neat to see people coming together and having positive events. And here the police are serving ice cream to kids.
For the people who say, this is great, but it's not like police can be out serving ice cream every week. What's the long-term plan?
We will be seeing more of this. As a prosecutor, you're often there after the train wreck. But if you can do crime prevention, that's the best of all. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to work with the community groups. We're trying to work with residents and businesses to try to prevent crime.
Police have also been cracking down on criminal activity with 36 extra officers set to patrol Kapolei and Waianae districts. It's critical work, but officers say this is important in its own way.
Unfortunately, HPD can't be everywhere, but when we work with the NSWs, the neighborhood security watches, when they have a great idea, we're more than happy to come out and partner with them.
It's our next generation. It's very important what we speak into our household, what we speaking into our children. I believe that positivity got to go up if we want violence to go down, and it starts with the home.
Eddie Dowd, Hawaii News Now.
The CEO of the company that makes Ozempic and Wegovy was on Capitol Hill today, asked by senators why the popular diabetes and weight loss drugs are much pricier in the U.S. compared to other countries. CBS's Natalie Brand explains the drug maker's CEO put the blame squarely on insurance companies.
It is a profound moral issue.
Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders opened the hearing, drawing attention to the high costs of popular diabetes and weight loss drugs made by Novo Nordisk. A Senate committee report found the monthly price for Ozempic in the U.S. is more than $900 compared to $59 in Germany, while Wegovy costs over $1,300 in the U.S. compared to $92 in the U.K.
Treat the American people the same way that you treat people all over the world. Stop ripping us off.
The company's CEO, Lars Jorgensen, blamed the U.S. health insurance industry, specifically middlemen known as pharmacy benefit managers, or PBMs.
For every dollar we make, we give 74 cents to the PBMs, insurance companies.
Jorgensen testified that when Novo Nordisk significantly dropped the price of another drug, U.S. insurance companies stopped covering it. Republican Bill Cassidy is also a doctor.
So we need to make a serious effort to navigate the network of perverse incentives throughout our healthcare system, including taking a substantive look at health insurance benefit designs, price transparency.
High prices have led some employers to stop covering Wegovy. Traylene Williams started taking the drug in 2021 after struggling with morbid obesity, but lost coverage in April.
That's like a mortgage payment that I simply cannot afford.
At the hearing, Sanders announced he received commitments from major PBMs to keep covering Ozempic and Wegovy, even if Novo Nordisk substantially reduces the list price. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
Let's send you live outside now for a look through the eyes of our tower camera. This is Honolulu Harbor. It's about 84 degrees and just after 12:16 here. Stay with us. We'll have more news and weather coming up after this quick little break.
How's it on this Tuesday? Our weather's looking really good for the next several days. There are a couple of disturbances, stormy ones down to our south. However, computer models are saying they will not strengthen or threaten us with any severe weather. If anything, we're getting some high clouds from that system down to the south and southwest. Of course, those high clouds don't bring in any rain. However, morning skies might be beautiful with the sunrise and those high clouds. And you can see how dry it is out there. If we're lucky, we'll get a few windward and Mocha showers, but we're not expecting a whole lot of rain today or for the next several days for that matter. As far as the winds, they're already picking up speed. They will run firm especially from Maui to Kauai for the next several days. Lighter winds are expected back in over the weekend. So we've got a textbook trade wind weather day. The weather's on autopilot. It's going to be beautiful for the next several days. Basically looking like this. A few clouds in the morning, maybe a few showers, lots of afternoon sunshine, high temperatures approaching the upper 80s. But the thing is, with those trade winds, humidity levels not an issue until the weekend. That's when things might get a little bit sticky. And heads up, we got a solid swell moving into north and west shores. Even south shores will begin picking up. All of these swells will peak in this afternoon through tonight. It's going to be pretty good today and tomorrow, especially with those trade winds and the east shore. down to 1 to 3. So for the next several days, the weather will be controlled by the trade winds running 10 to 25 all the way through Saturday. Lighter winds starting on Sunday. We aren't expecting a whole lot of rain. We are expecting lots and lots of sunshine. That's why the temperatures will remain parked into the upper 80s.
Tune into Spotlight now, where we'll be focusing in on the Honolulu Rail Project.
CART CEO Lori Kahikina has a new contract in hand. She's our guest. Join us 1 o'clock Tuesday on K5.
Shoppers prepare to say goodbye for good Kmart's Blue Light Specials. The retail giant announced that it is closing its last full-scale store in the mainland United States. Customers still have a chance to visit the store, which is located in Bridgehampton, New York on Long Island, before it's slated to close on October 20th, according to a store employee. Over the years, the retailer struggled to compete with Walmart's low prices and Target's trendier offerings and filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in early 2002, becoming the largest U.S. retailer to take that step. After next month, all that will remain of the once popular chain will be a small Kmart store in Miami and locations in Guam and the U.S. Virgin Islands. In other news from the feeds, some see a jigsaw puzzle as a relaxing activity, maybe for a rainy day, while others have been training for a world competition. CBS's Leah Mishkin reports from London.
And they're off, with pieces going into place at an astonishing pace. Before you know it, there's a winner. 30-year-old Kristen Thov from Norway claimed the individual title, finishing a 500-piece puzzle in just over 37 minutes.
I've been doing puzzles all my life, but then during the pandemic, I heard of speed puzzling, and I was like, I'm gonna go to the World Jigsaw Puzzle Championship, and I started practicing.
3,500 of the world's best puzzlers gathered in Spain for the 4-day World Jigsaw Puzzle Championship. Tiffany Medeiros traveled from Massachusetts.
It's a range of emotions. It depends on if you can hear people finishing before you, and sometimes that might bring you down. So I heard a lot of that yesterday. But today, we finished first.
This year's youngest competitor is 9-year-old Alma Bella from Spain.
I like puzzles because it's fun for me. I love them. I always like challenging myself.
As the organizer puts it, it's a way to step away from screens and rediscover our love for classic games. Leah Mishkin, CBS News, London.
And in today's Good News Now, it is the amazing story of a cat who made an 800-mile-long journey. Bradley Halbib has this story.
I just hear this yowling. It was July 1st when Alex Bitts stopped right here on her way into work after she heard what she calls a cat yowling.
Cats don't generally yowl like that unless there's something wrong.
She went down into this drainage ditch outside of Sutter Roseville Hospital to find this cat barely holding on to life.
It took a while for me to actually get the cat close enough to see it.
As an animal lover at heart, Alex did what she says was the right thing to do. So she DoorDashed canned cat food to work and brought a cup of fresh water during her break.
As soon as I opened that first can, he did poke his head up and he recognized the sound. So to me, that indicated that he was a pet.
The next day, Alex returned with more food and a dog kennel. She was able to get the cat inside and she took it home, nurtured it for a few days before taking the cat to Placer SPCA.
It was the hardest thing we had to do.
1 month before, Suzanne and Ben Anguiano were camping in Yellowstone with their 2 cats. While transferring them from the truck to the camper, their cat Rainbow escaped, running off into the woods, and park rangers there didn't give them any encouraging news.
He goes, good luck. If your cat doesn't make it home tonight, good luck.
After searching for 5 days, they had to give up and return to their home in Salinas.
I felt like I was abandoning him.
Now here's where things get wild. After being surrendered to the SPCA, the cat was scanned for a microchip, revealing it was registered to Suzanne.
I still didn't believe it. I said, okay, you have to describe him to me, because it was so overwhelming that this could be true.
The theory is Rain hitched a ride knowingly or unknowingly with someone who happened to live in Roseville.
As God has placed all the little as we look back,
Signs.
all the signs
Yeah.
were there.
Allowing the pieces to line up for rain to be found by Alex.
Things lined up the way that they were supposed to, that it wasn't me necessarily, but somebody working through me.
Let's go back to that breaking news that we brought to you at the top of the hour. We've just received new details from the Molokai Fire Department. They are now saying that approximately 100 acres have burned so far in this fire, and they've also confirmed that one structure and one vehicle were consumed in this fire, according to the fire department there on the island of Molokai. No injuries have been reported so far. Multiple units continue to fight this fire on scene. Once again, this is near Naiva Street and the Molokai Airport. So if you live in the area, police are conducting door-to-door evacuations. We will be sure to bring you the latest on this on HawaiiNewsNow.com and our mobile news app. So be sure to download that right to your phone. Thanks for watching today's episode of This Is Now.